Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you how to work with our healing tools. So here's our healing tools here, spot healing brush, and then there's also the clone stamp, right? And so we're going to do cleanup. So next step in editing is we start with cropping, straightening, and then it's clean up the image. So that might, like in this case, mean getting rid of these little dust marks and weird stuff we have on there. We're also going to see if we can get rid of these little orange cones to make this more of a nature shot, and maybe even get rid of that antenna there. And we'll use a combination of some different tools in order to do that. Okay. But before I start doing that, what I want to do is make a separate layer. I don't want to do this right on my background. I don't want to ruin my background, so to speak, or my background meaning my original file. I always want to kind of keep that clean and pure. So we're going to make a duplicate. And the easiest way to make a duplicate is to use your shortcut, which is Command J. Oops, Command J, there. Okay, so I just had to click over here. Right. And we call this layer, so this is now layer 1. That's going to be our spot, our healing, and our cleanup layer. Okay. So in order to really see what I'm doing here, I need to zoom in a little bit. And to zoom in, I'm going to hold down my Command or Control key on my keyboard, my plus key, and we're just going to zoom in a little bit. So that looks pretty good. We're on, if we look down in this lower left corner, we're on 100%, so that's pretty good. And I'm just going to start by looking, I'm going to start at my top corner and just roll through this and start cleaning this up. Okay, so right now I am over here on my toolbar and I'm on my spot healing brush. And the spot healing brush is a pretty smart tool. It's going to look at the pixels around where we're clicking and try and fill in that area with those similar tone pixels. And it works well for something like this where we have very similar colored pixels. So here's my cursor, or my brush, if you will, right? And if you notice up on the top here, these are my options for when I'm in my healing tools. I just have my source, which is current layer. So we're going to go to, which is fine, we can just do current layer in this case. And we have, we're going to select an area to heal. We're going to heal the selection. Okay. And then over here is my, clicking on that, my brush, and I can change the size of my brush, and I can change the hardness of my brush. So the hardness is, what does the outside circle look like? So am I so-called painting with a ballpoint pen, or am I painting with a really fluffy brush? Okay, think about what kind of marks do you make on a piece of paper if you take a ballpoint pen and make a line, and versus a really fluffy brush, or even something like a makeup brush, and you dip that into a pigment and make a line. What would that look like, right? It would be very feathered out, it'd be very soft on the edges, versus a ballpoint pen, which would be very straight and very defined where it is. Okay, so hardness is like the ballpoint pen, softness is like a big fluffy brush. Okay. So for this case, I'm going to just put myself somewhere in the middle-ish. I don't really need either one, so I'm just going to go, somewhere about 50% on here. Okay. And then the size of my brush, or my cursor, you see that circle there, I can change by using my bracket keys on my keyboard. So if I use my right bracket, oops, so I gotta click over, let me just click up there, get out of that. Okay, so let's go that here. I'm gonna do right bracket, that makes it bigger. Okay, I do left bracket, that makes it smaller. So it's really important when you're doing these healings and these spot fixes and this cleanup that you get the right size also. So I think that's good for there. I'm just going to click on that, and voila, it's gone. Love this. Okay, and I'm just going to start clicking on a bunch of places here. So I'm just putting my cursor over the spot, clicking, and it's going away. I'm going to do this line. So I'm going to start up here. I'm going to click down on my my mouse, and I'm just going to follow that line. So I'm going to kind of draw with my mouse that line, and then let go. Okay, so we're going to start, click down. I'm going to now drag it while I'm still clicking down and around, and let go, and it did it. Okay, and I'm just going to slide over a little bit here, and I see something up on the top I want to get rid of there, and I want to get this all cleaned up as much as possible. Sometimes I'm trying to get things, clean things off that are really just dirt on my screen. All right, so it helps if you have a clean computer screen to do this. All right, and a lot of this stuff looks like it was maybe some dust that got on the sensor. In the camera, there could just be little other things on the lens. Hopefully you don't have a lot of junk like this. I picked this image because it had so much stuff on there. All right, there's the bird in the sky, which I'm going to get rid of also because I'll show you in a sec. It looks kind of like it looks more like a spot than like a bird. So let's just keep looking at this sky to see if we see anything else up here. I see something in here. I see something here, and you can always come back to this, but we're just going to go ahead and keep cleaning these up. Okay, let's get that, and there, and I think I see something over here, and over here, and over here. And there's a couple of spots there. Right, so this can be a time-consuming kind of thing. All right, I think that looks decent enough. All right, so let's zoom back out. Okay, so there we go. There we are zoomed out. So, you know, that I like the cleanness of the way this works. So I don't know if we'll leave that bird in there. I don't know if I want that antenna in there. But check this out. Over here on our layers panel, there's what I did all that cleanup on. If I turn this eyeball icon off, so it's an eyeball, that makes that disappear, and we're just seeing this layer here and all that stuff. So we can see what we did. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on this piece here. We're going to keep using this same tool and get rid of this bird. That looks good. Okay. And all right, so let's see what we can do over here. Let's try a different tool. So that was all with the spot healing brush. Let's check out the healing brush. Okay? Because sometimes one tool works and another one won't work. So, and sometimes I need to use a combination of tools depending on what I'm doing. So let's check out the healing brush. All right, so the healing brush is similar, but it's going to, you need to sample from somewhere. So we're going to say we want to take the pixels from here and use those pixels to fill in what we're drawing on over here. Okay. I'm going to make my cursor a little bit bigger using my right bracket key. That should be good. And then I'm going to have my cursor just here. I am going to hold down Option as I click. Okay, or the Alt or Option key, and you notice when I come over here, it's now showing me what this is going to look like. And that little plus crosshairs that you see is telling me where I am taking those pixels from. Right, I just want to get down into there. I think that looks great. Okay, cool. Right, and we can look at what we did there on and off. Beautiful. Okay, just want to get down here a little bit more. It kind of blurs it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another sample up here and see if we can't blend that in more. It's not quite the right color, so maybe we'll take, again, like I said, sometimes it takes a few times to get this to cover. Ah, that's much, well, it was looking much better. But I think we'll go with that, okay? Like I said, this program's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did, and we can keep working on that. So now we got to clean up some of this junk that's down in here. Again, I'm going to zoom into 200% and go through and clean up this stuff. So let's again go back to our spot healing brush because that's the easiest to use. If it works, then it's great. Okay, I'm going to get my cursor back. So there's my cursor. I just need to make that a little bit smaller, but it gets lost sometimes. I'm just going to drag, hold down my mouse, drag over that, let go, and it did okay. I'm just going to go over this one more time in here, and that looks pretty good, and maybe go one more time there, okay? And then there's a bunch of little like dust spots in here that I would also go through and clean up. Okay, so we'll try and do that quickly. That's the one of the holes, so we'll leave that. It's a little white spot there. That. There's some junk down over here too, so we can decide to leave or clean up that stuff. That's one of the options that you make. I just want to get around this little hairy thing there. That looks good. Let's clean that up a little bit more. Okay. All right. So there's some other little things in here. I'm just gonna click on those and get those cleaned up a little bit too. We don't see those so much as we go back in there. Okay, and then we're going to start getting rid of some of these cones perhaps. So, this looks like something funny down here. Let's see what we can do something with that. That's much better. Okay, so let's try a different tool. We're going to go to our clone stamp. Right, and the clone stamp again is going to sample and then go over another, go over those pixels. So here's my cursor there. I'm going to hit my Alt key again. That's going to sample there, and we're just going to cover that up and blend that right in there. Sweet. Oops, I don't think that last thing was good, so Command Z on that guy. I'm showing a little bit there, but I'll fix that after. Okay, and same thing over here. So I'm going to sample from over here. I'm going to hold down my Alt or Option key. I'm going to click on my mouse, then move my mouse over to what I want to cover up, and click and drag that down. Perfect. That looks great. Okay, so those are gone now. I think those are the two on that side. All right, and we're going to go over to these up here, and we'll do the same thing there. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt and just click in there. Cool. I'm going to try and see if we can move that. That one is too obvious. Even this one looks like it needs some help again. Oops. All right, we're good there. I'm going to do it from over here. So I'm going to click, sample, bring my cursor over, drag it down. That looks good. And let's zoom into 300%, and we'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to make this cursor smaller now. I just need it to cover like that. And I don't want to sample too much. I'm going to hold down my sample. So Alt Option, I'm going to click to sample, move my cursor over, click, and drag it down. And that looks pretty good. Oops. Not bad. I'm going to go back to my spot healing brush now. Just want to heal that a little bit more. There we go. That looks a little bit cleaner, right? So the idea with editing is that we're not making anything look artificial. We're improving the picture that we took. We're making it look more like the vision that we had in our mind when we're doing it. Right? So that's a quick overview of the healing tools. Right? So the spot healing brush, the healing brush, and the clone stamp. Okay, done on a separate layer, so we can see what we did, and if we ever needed to, we can come back to this. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save this one. So I'm going to go to my file, and I'm just going to again save this as a PSD so that I keep my layers intact. Okay, and that's going to go then to my downloads with my same file name, spot removal PSD. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and close that. Okay, great. And that's spot removal, healing tools, and clone stamp.